The initial reveal of the Saints Row reboot was met with some pushback by fans of the series. They voiced concerns over the game taking itself too seriously, characters being cringeworthy, and gunplay that looked like it hadn't evolved in the decade since Saints Row 4's release. As a reasonably big Saints Row fan myself, I was disappointed in the reboot's reveal as well. But now, I was lucky enough to check out the game for myself with over 4 hours of hands-on time at an event in Las Vegas, and I've been swayed by the vision the developers have for a more modern take on the 3rd Street Saints. However, I do want to note that the footage you'll see during this video is B-roll provided to me by the developers at Volition and wasn't captured during my time with the game. My hands-on session started with making a character in the Boss Factory, the game's character creator that even received a standalone release. To put it simply, the Boss Factory is one of the best character creators I've ever seen. It has a bevy of options, including the ability to make your character have an asymmetrical face that can be individually tweaked in various parts. The developers also deserve praise for how inclusive of a system it is. Not only does it include multiple prosthetic options for your character's arms and legs, but it also doesn't put gender labels on anything. Players are free to change the physicality and appearance of their character without having to stick to certain labels or styles. It is really great to see Volition go in this direction, and I hope it continues elsewhere in the industry as well. I was also very impressed with how well Boss Factory allowed you to make both humorous and serious characters, equally letting you be either badass or just completely ridiculous. Once I had my character finished up, which ended up looking like a more jacked version of Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain, I was introduced to the player's main accomplices over the course of the story. Now, I was among the fans who weren't very impressed with the supporting characters from the reveal trailers, but I think that was more of a presentation issue than anything else at this point. In the reveal, the characters came off as one-note and gimmicky, while in the game they have a bit more subtlety to them. However, I can understand why the developers may have had a hard time communicating this in the game's limited reveal, as their subtleties are mostly communicated through their interactions with the player's character. As a group, the 4 characters speak very well about the experiences of struggling millennials. Now, I know that talking about millennials can be a bit tricky and exploitative, but Saints Row does it in a very genuine way. The 4 characters all live together in a dingy apartment where they barely make ends meet and have few options to try and make money. Getting a working toaster is a big cause for excitement, and the only thing that really makes living worthwhile for them is hanging out with one another. So the 4 of them decide to start a criminal empire to stop living paycheck to paycheck and putting their lives on the line to support other gangs. Now, I don't think most millennials end up starting criminal empires, but their situation leading up to doing so definitely is familiar. Going into my time with the game, I also was anxious to see how the game's combat felt. The Saints Row series has never had groundbreaking combat, but I was hopeful that there would be some improvements from the series' decade-long break. The gunplay in the game all felt very similar to what the series sported before, but there were a few interesting additions that helped mix things up. Firstly, players have a signature move that charges as they get kills. This move can then be activated to perform an animated melee kill that refills the player's health like a glory kill in Doom Eternal. Combat is made much more aggressive with this mechanic, and it does a lot to help give players the tools to continue pushing forward even in difficult situations. The second new mechanic is different combat abilities that you can have 4 of equipped at a time. These help you tailor your playstyle alongside your guns, and have a good amount of variety. In my time with the game, I unlocked abilities that let me put a grenade in an enemy's pocket and throw them, or bolster my health for a short while. Both of these abilities help me tailor my playstyle to be as aggressive in gunfights as possible, while other options would have helped me play more sneakily or stay at a further range to avoid taking damage. But it wouldn't be Saints Row without the ability to grow your gang in style, and the newest entry gives you more ways to do so than ever before. Not only does this include more detailed character and vehicle customization, but also the ability to change up the home base of the Saints. Players can even decide which businesses they use as fronts for their operation, and where they are placed throughout the new city setting of Santo Ileso. Another big aspect of Saints Row that I was pretty excited about seeing was its new take on the comedy formula. Now, Saints Row games have always tried to be kind of humorous, and always a little tongue-in-cheek, even back in the first 2 entries when it was still trying to ape Grand Theft Auto. This, of course, got much more ridiculous by the time Saints Row III came out in Saints Row 4, but the reboot for Saints Row seems to find a pretty good balance. The story is a lot more grounded and characters are taken a little bit more seriously, but there never is exactly a moment of just true absurdity. It always feels very human and very interpersonal when your character's interacting with their friends. I found this to be a really cool blend that kept you laughing but never exactly took things to a ridiculous height, except for the story missions that had a lot of set-piece moments that are more familiar to like typical Saints Row missions like the bank heist at the beginning of Saints Row III. Now that isn't to say that the comedy always would hit. There were plenty of instances where it wouldn't land, but I do think that the ratio to good joke versus bad joke was definitely heavily weighted in the good joke's favor. One of the biggest impressions I had, however, after walking out of my time with Saints Row was how it felt like a type of game that doesn't get released very often anymore. With a complete lack of battle passes, seasonal content, or the promise of being supported for years and years to come, it is refreshing to look forward to a game that is just a complete package up front. You can pay $60, get the game, maybe go through it with a friend, buy the season pass for DLC if you want more. With that in mind, Saints Row seems like it will have everything fans of the series or genre could want when it releases. There's fun action, amusing characters, tons of customization options, and some great bells and whistles that help bring the series formula to modern times. Thanks for checking out our early hands-on impressions of Saints Row. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment to let us know if you're excited for the reboot, and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss our full review next month.